guys, this is Smithy. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is a very special one. We're mainly going to do a chatty get ready with me, and we're going to chat about the newest Natasha Denona release palette, leaked palette actually, and it is called the Natasha Denona's My Dream palette. We are going to talk everything about it. We're going to try and create like a similar color story on our eyes, and this is the makeup look that we went for, but on the face it's all OG drugstore makeup products that we used to love back in the days. So I'm very excited to show you the finished look. If you want to know which palettes can create a similar color story to the newest Natasha Denona Dream palette, then please keep on watching. Okay, let's begin. This is the second time I'm recording and I do not want anything to fall back. Today, we're going to use all the OG makeup products that we were like loving back in the days. So I'm going to apply those like top-notch quality drugstore products on my face. We might dip into like a few high-end eyeshadow palettes too, just because I used like the drugstore eyeshadow palettes in a video and it was all blurry. So I don't want to repeat that again just because I am so excited for the new Natasha Denona palette launching. So we're going to talk everything about it, but let's start off. I'm going to apply my L'Oreal Lumi Glotion as my primer, and this one is in the shade Medium Glow, and this would give like a great like glowy base for our face. Face. Get it? And I'm going to apply that with my BK Beauty foundation brush just because I need that glowiness when I'm applying the foundation too. So let's do that. Let's talk about Natasha Denona new palette coming. Did you guys see the palette? It's My Dream palette or My Dream collection. It's a collection. So it basically comes with a face palette as well as eyeshadow palette. The palette just like leaked today at the time I'm filming, and I'm filming on a Sunday, and this says like it's My Dream collection by Natasha Denona, and face palette has like it seems like a deep blush, like a berry toned blush, I would say, like a terracotta berry toned blush, and then like a highlighting, like a glowy highlighter, and like a more of a subtle highlighter. I don't know if those are like cream products, powder products. Nothing has been like leaked as yet, so I don't know about that. We have a glowy base going on. Right now, I am into that phase of like glowy base. So I'm liking it. I'm really liking it. Let's move on to the foundation. Can you guys guess what would be the foundation that I used to love back in the days and I'm still loving? It is my L'Oreal Infallible Wear, like 24-hour fresh wear. And in this, I am in the shade Golden Sun, which is number 485. So let's apply that. Absolutely love this like foundation for like glam makeup. It might be a tad bit light on me right now just because I'm tan. Welcome to my channel. I become super tan in my summer season, so yeah, bear with me. I'm gonna apply maximum amount of product in the center area and then fade it out towards the outer corners. Yeah, talking about the palette, I'm super excited. I do not own like any big Natasha Denona palettes. I have her like 5-pan palettes, the mini palettes, as well as the larger 5-pan palettes also. I have the coral palette with me, and I love her mattes, especially in the palettes that I have. Like I have the mini Love palette as well as the coral palette. I'm not like a big fan of her shimmers in that, just because the duochrome that was there in the coral palette, it's more of like a toppery formula. I like the normal shimmer, but it's not like sparkly or anything, so it's not like out of the box different, if that makes sense. Because if I'm like spending money on my Natasha Denona palette, I really want it to be special, but not like, you know, blues and greens. I definitely was like aware if this palette, the new Natasha Denona palette, is going to be more like greens and blues, I'm not going to buy it just because that's not my color story. I'm more of a neutral person, so I know I'll get my money's worth if it's more of like a neutral palette. I'm big into purples, and when I see this palette, I see a lot of neutral tones and leaning a little more on the cooler tone side, but nothing too cool or nothing too warm. I see like a pop of warm shades, like 1 or 2 shades, and I see like a pop of like cool shades, which are 1 or 2 shades. The rest, everything seems to be like super neutral, which I am a big fan of. It seems like this palette has like one multi-chrome also in it, but nothing out of the box shade. I think it's that more like a green to a pink purple shifting shade. So yes, the color story is very neutral, taupe, purple, that kind of a color story. You can see it in the picture, and let me know how do you feel about it. There's one gold in the palette, and there it seems like it has like a few cream to powder finishes also, and 3 sparkly shadows out of the shades that I like can see. I'll definitely do like a dupe video, but I feel like if this is a $65 palette and not the $128 palette, then I might just get the plunge and get this palette. But again, I'm gonna buy this when it is on a sale, because again, 65, 67 right now would be like a higher price point for me to invest in an eyeshadow palette. So I'll definitely wait for like a Black Friday sale, which is almost round the corner. Like we're almost done with August. So I would say, yeah, I can definitely wait for the Black Friday sale. Or if Sephora does like a VIB sale, which I'm not a VIB, so I don't know. But I would say if you're not like into buying that palette, the palettes that reminded me of that palette is basically Sigma's warm neutral palettes and Corderosa palette like mixed together, because it does have those like peachy tones also in it, with a few like this shimmery, what do you say, like champagne taupe shade, and this like beautiful gold shade, and then a few purples like this, but it also has those like browns, yeah, a little more on like the burgundy side. So I would say that this palette reminds me more like a Natasha Denona retro palette, but a little more of like a mature sister, or like a more of a grungy sister, I would say. That's how I feel about it. Let's move on to the concealer. Elf Camo Concealer. Who doesn't know about it? Everybody knows about it, but nobody's using it right now. So I'm going to use it because I have it. I'm going to just concentrate that right here. I'm not going to apply too much because it's a little more on the peachier side, and I have mine in the shade medium beige. So let's take that there. I'm going to mainly concentrate on this socket where I have the most deepest like circles here, like deep dark circles. And then take it underneath the eyes and then spread it through. Just like that. What do you guys feel about this palette? Are you into this color story? Because I feel like if she would have come with like unique color story, but a little more of like, I don't know, if she was like experimenting with a lot of colors, for example, her Circo Loco palette or her the pastel palette, I'm pretty sure that won't be like my first Natasha Denona palette that I would want to try. I would want to try one of her like neutral color story, which I would use a lot. So I think for me, this being my first Natasha Denona palette really does make sense, just because I am more into those purples and neutral tones, and I would get a lot of use out of it. I did not want a glam palette in my collection because I'm not like a big cool tone person, and I did not want bronze palette also, although I'm a big bronze person, but it looked like a lot of repetitive shades in that palette. So yeah, I was not a big fan of that too. I mean, I was a big fan of the bronze palette, like the color story, but having too many repetitive shades, I did not want to like invest my money on that. So I'm using my Wet n Wild contouring stick, which I absolutely love, and this is in the shade Call Me Maple. I'm almost done with this, so I'm using the heck out of it because I really use this all the time. Can you see? Like, this is almost done. That's how much I use it, and I love it. Like, if you have not tried this, do me a favor and try it, and I know that this would be like in your staple, like a routine makeup product in your collection. I have a lot of cream products that I need to like finish, so I'm not gonna buy it as soon as this finishes, just because I have a lot and I need to use them. Because this year, guys, Smithy is gonna use up products, okay? You bet. And I don't want to invest in something that is already there in my collection. Although, again, going back to Natasha Denona palette, Although that palette seems like very neutral and very boring, but looking at the palette, when I was like, okay, I think that is going to be like a super dupe to the Sigma Warm Neutrals palette, when I compared it's not like it's a dupe. Then I was like, okay, maybe Corda Rosa. And then I was like, I can see the similarities, but not like an exact dupe. You would get like a similar effect if you like use both of those palette, but still, you know, I think that would be a great palette to have, at least for me. And that is like me not having Natasha Denona retro palette, or me not having Huda Beauty's rose quartz palette. So I do not have those mauvey tones with me. Not saying that this is a mauve palette. It does have like burgundy and purples thrown in here and there. Not like purple, but like, you know, I think that the deep matte purple shade, it's not matte, it's like a cream to powder formula also, and that would make sense if it is a cream to powder formula, just because you can get that effect, like a, you know, a punchier effect on your eyes. But we'll see once the swatches come from like Natasha Denona or from Trend Mode. And I got this like the palette picture from Trend Mode's post, so I link that also in the description box below if you guys want to see it for yourself and see if you already do have this like color story in your collection or not. So once I have that, let's move on to like setting our under eyes, because we have not done that. And I don't know if you will be surprised or not, I use this all the time. And you will notice this by looking at the dent that I have, and look at the dent on the powder side, like especially on the powder side. And this is the Wet n Wild Mega Contouring Palette, and this one is in the shade Dulce de Leche. And I would say this would be perfect if you are more of like a medium tan skin tone, because the powder is more like a banana powder and it smooths out everything. So I concentrate that more underneath the eyes, believe it or not. And that's how I've got the big pan. The bronzer is also really good that they have in this, but this was more of like a deeper tone bronzer for me. Right now it will be perfect, and I use this occasionally. But I want to talk about another face palette which I use more than this, which I think you would be absolutely a big fan of if you were like eyeing this product and you were like doubting yourself whether you need to get it or not. I think this would like shock you. It is so good, like hourglass quality, like really good. So once we have that powder all set, I'm just gonna take a big fluffy brush and I'm just gonna take the same powder and then tap off the excess and just run it around the edges, just to set the bronzer, the cream bronzer, back in place, just like that. And now the palette that I was talking about is this one from Ulta Beauty, and this is the Ulta's 3-in-1 cheek palette, and this I have mine in the shade Santorini Sun. This is so pretty, such a beautiful palette. If you've like not had this in your collection and you were really eyeing the hourglass product, you would absolutely love it. This doesn't even seem like it's a dark bronzer, but watch on my face, like it gives such a natural sheen on my face, but it does bronze up my face so really well. And especially when I'm tan right now, like look at that. It really does give like some color to my face. It bronzes, like warms up my face really well. And I really like it. Look how beautifully that just blends into the skin. Very big fan of that. I'm going to take the same bronzer on like a more concise brush, and I'm just gonna like contour my nose too. Can you see that? Like this is more evident. I'm just gonna melt it right on the bridge of the nose, just so that I chisel my nose quite a bit. Just like that. This brush really helps in doing that, and this is from Sigma Practique line, and this one is called the Shade Brush. Really love it. It like has a unique cut at the bristle side, which absolutely helps in like the chiseling that nose. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. Can you see that? Really love that. Okay, once we have that, I'm gonna take my highlighter brush, dip into this highlighter. I might not like dip into, I don't know, might. Let's see. Oh, look at that highlighter. Like, how glowy is that? If you do not want to emphasize some texture and you want like a good icy glow on the face, you'll absolutely love it. And some on the nose. And then take the same blush. Let's take this one. Just because I'm planning to use the Sigma palettes and not my drugstore palette. I'll show you the drugstore palette that I used, and I'll link the video that I was wearing that in. The whole video was blurry and I was so mad. Like, I used my Wet n Wild palettes, the My Glamour Squad palette and the Call Me Sunshine palette. And I'll pop a picture on the screen for you guys, like just to show how it looked. And I'll just run through how, like what shades I used. But I'll link the whole video in the iCards above for you guys so that you can check it out. But that's how the blush is also looking. Now I'm just going to set my face using my NYX Matte Finish Finny Matte Setting Spray. Who remembers this? This was all the hype, like back in the days. Oh my god, people used to love, go banana over this. I still have like this version, the bigger version, as well as the mini version with me, which I generally get with me when I'm traveling. It's such a nice spray. And it lasts my makeup for the whole day. Yesterday I was wearing that makeup using almost the same products that I'm using right now. And I wore that makeup like in the morning. I went to church in the evening and I took off my makeup even after like falling in a nap on my sofa. But when I went upstairs like to take my makeup off, it looked like so fresh. Like, I love all these products. It performs really nicely on the skin. So these are the two products that I used yesterday, and I basically used this on my crease, this big pan this on my crease, and I used this brown shade in the outer corners along with this like deep burgundy shade on the outer corners, and then I used this champagne shade in my inner corners. And then I dipped into this palette, which is Call Me Sunshine palette. And then I used this like dirty olive green shade in the center of my eyelid. And then I topped it off this like this sparkly shade on my inner corner. And you can see how such a beautiful eye look it created. When I'm playing with eyeshadow, I want to have fun. So I'm not going to create the same eye look or use the same eyeshadow palettes. I really, after looking at that palette of Natasha Denona, I really want to play with this. So we're going to play with this, okay? Bear with me. Okay, so what are we going to do? Okay, let's start off with this palette. And I'm going to take this shade, which is Corderosa. This like pinky, mauvey tone shade. It looks like this is like the kind of the shade that palette has right in the center of the palette. So I'm going to take that as my transition shade. I'm going to take the same shade on my lower lash line too. Next, I'm going to dip into this shade from the Warm Neutrals palette, and this is called Henna. And this seems like the last shadow that we have in the Natasha Denona palette. Very similar color story. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to take that in my outer corners. And also in my inner corner of the eye. Just to deepen it out. I want to like take a halo eye look with it. So yeah, let's do that. I should have applied my eye makeup first. That's fine. And then we have like a deep dark brown shade. And I think that's very close to this shade. And I would say that will like dupe the second shadow of the palette. So let's take that on like more of a precise brush. And I'm going to deepen up the outer and the inner corner a little bit more with this shade. And this I'm using the Corderosa palette. Just a tad little bit. I'm not worried about the center of my eyelid just because I'm definitely going to go with the shimmer there. And then we have something like this shade, the Shakespeare shade, and this would be like the first shade in the second row. And I'm going to take that, just build it up on like a definer brush, and this would be my lower lash line shade. That's such a beautiful burgundy shade. Really, really love that addition. Just like that. I'm just gonna take the blending brush that I used with no additional product and just blend the edges with it. Next, for the lid, I'm going to take this shade, Beaming, from the Warm Neutrals palette, and this seems like a very close shade to the last shade in the first row of that palette. So I'm going to take that and apply basically that towards like my outer third, like my, I don't know, not right in the middle, but you can see the placement. I just want a little bit more of like that taupey effect right there, like blending the middle shade, I would say, which we are about to put. It's a very muted purple shade. It's very, very pretty actually. It's not over the top sparkly, but very muted and pretty. Okay, let's finish off our inner corners too, because the center shade should be like the center of attraction, right? I'm going to take this shade, which is Charmer, and it looks like very, very similar to the center shade on the last row. So I'm going to take that, and this would be like my inner corner shade, like my brightening shade. Look how bright it is. And for the center of my eyelid, I'm going to take this shade, which is Belle of the Ball. And this seems like the second shade in the second row of that Natasha Denona palette. So I'm going to take that and apply that right in the center, just to give that subtle pop, because it's super sparkly and super dimensional. And that's going to be my center of the eyelid shade. Just like that. Now I'm going to finish off this eyes with some liner and mascara, and I'll get right back. Okay, I finished off my eyes by lining it with my Hindash Intra Eye Pencil, and it's a beautiful like a burgundy brown shade, more like a deep chocolatey brown shade. So I really thought that this would like complement my eyes really well. Now for the lips, I lined my lips by using Colourpop's Lippy Pencil in the shade Good and Plenty, and that's what you're seeing on my lips. For the lipstick, I really want to use this from Natasha Denona, and this one is I Need a Nude lipstick, and this one is in the shade Yana. I recently did pick this up on like a sale when it was happening in Sephora. So let's try this. Oh wow, super creamy. I feel like this would benefit more with like a brown lip liner, so that's what I'm gonna do today. Let's take my Colourpop's BFF4 lip liner, and I'm just gonna line my edges with it. Such a beautiful pairing with this lipstick. This is like an apt shade of lipstick for that eyeshadow palette, I would say. Again, this was I Need a Nude lipstick from Natasha Denona in the shade Yana. And this is basically defined as, it looks like super brown in Bullet, but this is more neutral pink, which I totally agree for like medium tan skin tone. This is going to be stunning if you love like those like grungy tone lipsticks. You'll absolutely love it. Wow. Wow. Okay, so that's going to be my final look. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video and chatty get ready with me, mainly chatting about the new Natasha Denona My Dream palette. And if you did like this video, if you do like the makeup that I'm wearing right now, I'm big on purples, if you cannot say. But yes, if you did like this video, do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so that you're notified every time that I post next. I generally upload 3 videos every single week, every Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays at 9 AM Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.